Hey there, I'm Andy, and everyone in my class, including my crush, thought I was poor. But now that they've found out I was their parents' boss, they're begging for my forgiveness. But first things first, shout out and credit to Shadow Savior. Today's story is inspired by your title idea. Remember to post your new title ideas in the comments below. It needs to be an original story. Something we haven't done already. Give a like to the ones you would like to see animated. For the most active members who create very popular titles, we will contact you to join a secret server on Discord to offer you behind-the-scenes access. By the way, we're having a merch drop only available until the 1st of January. This drop is dedicated to you to spread a positive message in your community and keep warm during the winter. Make sure to get your hoodie for the holidays. For now, let's jump straight into today's thrilling story. I'm not really showy. It's just always been that way. My parents aren't either. We live in a normal-sized house and we drive 10-year-old cars and we shop at Walmart and Fargate just like everybody else. The only real difference is my dad's job and the money in his bank account. I just never really cared about how I looked and how much money my dad makes. So, I can admit, I do tend to look messy. Pretty much everyone at school thought I was just some kid whose mom was a maid or something. And who can blame them for thinking that when I wear tattered clothes and shoes with holes in them? I don't know. I just tend to hold on to things. As long as I can still use them or wear them, I don't feel the need to buy new ones. There was one thing that annoyed me about being thought of as poor. People made fun of me. I was always overlooked, and most of the kids in my class would just treat me as if I wasn't a person. Even the teachers don't call on me or just ignore me. I always got picked last when we needed to break up into teams for PE or for any kind of group activities. Most of the cool, popular kids didn't even invite me to any parties or just to hang out with them. My only real friends were the kids who were just like me. Outcasts. And the kids who were actually poor. But you won't hear any complaints from me about my friends. They're awesome. They're real with me. They're fun, and they aren't obsessed with how people thought of them, of what clothes they wore, or what iPhone they want for Christmas. It was awesome having friends like that, who just liked me for who I was and not who my father was, or for how much lunch money I got, or what car I drove. They were also really supportive of me. Once, when I realized I had a crush on a girl, they helped me out. They encouraged me and gave me advice and boosted my self-esteem, just so I'd have the courage to approach her and ask her out. But for all my friends' help, it turned out I fell for the wrong kind of girl. Hi, Anita? Yes? What? What do you need? Oh jeez, just spit it out already, dork. I'm busy. I just came over to ask if you'd want to hang out. Like, after school? I want to take you to this really cool spot. She laughed for a good minute with her girlfriends, and then she turned serious and looked back at me. Look, no offense, but you're like dirt poor, so thanks, but no thanks. Okay, bye! That kinda traumatized me for a while. It took so much for me to open up like that and try to conquer my fear. But for her to just shoot me down based simply on the fact that she assumed I was poor? Wow. I kinda hated her for that. And how society judged people based on what they have in their bank accounts. A few weeks later, the day I was dreading came about. It was Bring Your Parents to School Day. And honestly, I didn't want anyone to know who mine were, because I knew exactly what would happen when they found out. I even tried to tell our principal that my parents couldn't make it because they were on an Arctic expedition. Unfortunately, I got caught out in my lie because it turned out my mom had already RSVP'd weeks ago. That day, I tried to go unnoticed. I sat at the very back and I made sure my parents didn't draw any attention to themselves. But nothing went the way I planned. The principal immediately recognized them. He even came to host my class's parent-teacher day, especially because he knew they'd be there. "Oh my, Mr. and Mrs. Donahue! Why are you sitting all the way in the back? Please come up to the front. I've reserved seats for you." At the mention of my parents' last name, every single parent in that room turned their heads. And they clapped. Why? Because they all worked for my dad. Our town's small, and there was only really one thing we were known for: potato farming. My family had the biggest operation in the state, and that little town was where the business started. He also owned several businesses on Main Street, so basically they all worked for him. And that was probably the first time they ever met or saw him, because he's always away on some or other business trip all around the world. I could feel my classmates' eyes trailing my every move. They were probably so shocked that the guy they called Hobo Kid was some billionaire's kid. My friends were just as shocked, too. They always thought of me as one of them. Immediately after the day was over, some of the cool kids approached me. They definitely talked to me different than they did before. Hey, Andy. My name's Andy. Yeah! Oh, yeah. Andy, of course. Yeah, I never knew your dad was my dad's boss. Wow, some coincidence, huh? Yeah, sure. So, you want to come hang out at my place? The Coulson twins wanted to play some PS5, and they're bringing some games over. UG? Oh, well, 5 seconds ago you didn't know my name, Carter. And now we're best buds because your dad works for my dad? No, that's not it. I didn't know that you're that, Donahue. That last name's so common around here, you know? So, yeah, I should have made friends with me even though you thought I was poor? That's not what you were gonna say, was it, Carter? But that's what you should have done. Now, if you don't mind, I'm off to hang out with my real friends. Maybe I'll show them around my house and show them my game room. Since the secret was already out, I just kinda lived my life as normally as I could. But I rewarded the ones who were my friends before they knew I was rich. On weekends, I took them on trips to places they'd only dreamed of. One time, we took my dad's jet and we went on a safari. And for my birthday, we went to 3 different theme parks in one day using our helicopter. I gotta say, it felt so good to see my friends get to do things my other classmates would never get to do. To see them be the ones who got envied for once. They would come to class with souvenirs and gifts from our trips. And the popular cool kids would just mope because once again, they weren't invited to my parties. I also helped their families. I asked my dad to hire their parents so they could at least have better jobs and they won't struggle anymore. The weirdest part of it all was Anita. She came to me one day in class and asked me out. Hey, I was wondering if you'd like to go out with me. Me? Yeah. Why me? Why not? Well, let's see. Last time I asked you out, you said... what was it? Look, no offense, but you're like dirt poor. Yeah, that's what you said. But I didn't mean that. You mean you're only interested in me now because you know my parents are billionaires. No thank you, Anita. I'd rather be single than date a gold digger. But that didn't even stop her. She'd still hang around at places where I hung out, and all her girlfriends did the same. They laughed at me when I asked their friend out, and now that they knew I was rich, every single one of them were falling over themselves to date me. They stalked me and they followed wherever I went. So I actually had to take out a restraining order against them. If they ever saw me at school, they had to be at least 50 feet away. I actually ended up dating one of my best friends. Her name's Maria, and she's humble, kind, and beautiful. She makes me laugh a lot, too. I don't care that her family's poor. She liked me before she knew about my family. And when I was crushing on Anita, she was always there to support me. It's kind of funny to me how blind I was to the girl I loved who was right in front of me the whole time. But at least now, I'm with the real people who liked me for who I am. And the people who've bullied me and judged me for looking poor, they've been begging for my forgiveness. Personally, there's nothing to forgive. I just wish they'd learn their lessons. And I just hope they would stop judging people just because they're poor. I'm no longer petty towards them. I invite everyone to my parties now. But of course, they're not the VIPs. My real friends will always be the outcasts of our school.